So Notts County are known as being one of the most famous and oldest professional football clubs in the world. In fact, they are the oldest professional football club in the world, being founded in 1862. They've been going for 157 years, and they've now dropped for the first time outside of the Football League. They're into non-league, and it's a tragedy really for them as a football club, a club that's got so much history, to now drop into non-league. They are a real giant at this level, and we're looking into why it has happened and also what the future holds for them in this video. But first of all, the video is sponsored by OneFootball, which is a great way to stay up to date with all different things in the National League throughout the upcoming season, also in the Football League and the Premier League as well. It's a great way to stay up to date with all different news, scores, lineups, and much more. So if you haven't downloaded the app before and want to download it, then the link to download it is in the top line of the description. But without any further ado, let's look into the situation at Notts County. So as I mentioned, being founded in 1862, they're 157 years old and one of the founder members of the Football League in 1888. Yes, that means they've been in the Football League for a total of 130 years. They've never been in the Premier League and never dropped down to non-league before either. When professionalism within football was legalised in 1885, Notts County were a spearhead in moving the game in that direction. It was rare for teams to move from amateur to professional, but Notts County did this, and they really helped progress the game. Over the years, they have been promoted 13 times, and now this season is the 17th relegation, so it's been up and down. The Magpies wear black and white stripes, and they famously gave Juventus those colours and played in an exhibition match against Juventus to open their new stadium less than 8 years ago. With plenty of ups, there's also been a lot of downs over the years. In 2002, they actually spent the longest amount of time ever for a football club to be in administration. It was there for 534 days and somehow still made it out the other side. This is just the love for this football club and the attraction and appeal of different investors and owners to come and take over this club that, despite being in administration for so long, the club still survives. Someone new came in and took it over, but it seems to be a repeating cycle of someone in, seeing these big plans, getting really excited, seeing a big future for the club with all this history, really romantic story of getting them to be a really big club potentially in the Premier League, but then it all falling apart soon afterwards. Another example of this was in 2009 when some mega rich owners came in and claimed they wanted to get the club to the Premier League from League 2 within 5 years. They brought in Sven-Göran Eriksson, who less than 3 years before had managed England at a World Cup. He was brought in as director of football at Notts County, and they also made one huge signing, which was Sol Campbell, which raised eyebrows to say the least. He came in on a reported deal worth £40,000 a week, which is absolutely ridiculous in League 2. Surprise, surprise, this didn't last very long. He was only actually there 4 weeks. He had a 5-year deal at the club, and it meant that we would have earned around about £10 million if he had have stayed for those 5 years. And at the time, as a 35-year-old defender, had an amazing career behind him, but potentially to be earning that sort of money at that stage of your career is crazy. But after 4 weeks, he'd had enough. He wasn't happy with it. He played in one single match, and then he decided to call it a day. And he left, and then eventually re-signed for Arsenal and played in the Champions League for them. So that sort of shows the level of defender that he was still at. But anyway, fast forward now to the end of the 18-19 season, and Notts County were relegated from League 2 in 23rd position. They were 3 points behind 22nd place, and ironically managed by Sol Campbell, Macclesfield Town. Now Macclesfield survived on 44 points. They had a bit of a great escape come the end of the season. As an outsider looking in, you can instantly see a couple of problems that they had. They had an absolutely huge squad of 35 players at the end of the season and a wage bill of around about £3 million. Now with them dropping into the National League, they actually get a parachute payment for the first season of £500,000. So that helps them adjust to the National League. But with a wage bill so high, they have had to cut it down. But a lot of the players are on long contracts, so it's actually proven really difficult to get these players out of the door. This has actually meant that the club have actually not made a single new signing so far as of recording this video on the 24th of June. And it's not as if the club is completely not in need of new signings. They actually only currently have one centre-back, who is a young player called Piers Bird. He's actually a player who's pretty much got very little first-team experience. They've also got no left-back and no left-winger and only a couple of strikers, one of which is Christian Dennis, who is apparently considering his future. Notts County Stadium, Meadow Lane, holds 19,841 fans all seated, which makes it by far the biggest stadium in non-league football at present. If you take their attendance from last season as well, of just around about 7,500, and compare that to the highest attendance in non-league last season, which was at Leyton Orient getting 5,500, it means that they are, if they can carry on that attendance into non-league, by far also the highest supported non-league club. But in terms of where does the club go from here, there are talks of a takeover happening, and it's been on the cards for a long time. Back in February of 2019, so around 4 or 5 months ago, the owner, Alan Hardy, put the club up for sale. Now, this coincidentally timed with a really awkward tweet that he actually put on his Twitter account of pretty much a nude photo in a screenshot that he put of a tweet. In the bottom line of it, there was a picture of him with nothing on, so it was a bit awkward, and pretty much straight afterwards he actually put the club for sale. But he actually says that this wasn't the reason for him doing this. He was having talks with potential owners prior to this happening. It was just an unfortunate coincidence. Hardy is a local businessman who took over at Meadow Lane in January 2017 and pulled the club away from administration, investing £10 million of his own money in the process. Now the club is now moving back towards administration, unfortunately. The club was up for sale in February, as I did mention. There were apparently 2 interested parties at that point. Then in April, Hardy said that he had accepted an offer, and at the start of May, he said that it would be between 7 and 10 days that the takeover will be completed. But as I record in this video, there is no takeover. The takeover needs to happen as soon as possible, because if not, then the club really could be in serious trouble. They have had 8 weeks to pay off a tax bill, reportedly around about £250,000. Their court case has been adjourned at the High Court twice, and they are due to go back to the High Court on the 10th of July. So if they haven't paid off their debts by this point, then they really could be in trouble unless it's adjourned again, of which, regardless, it's a horrible situation to be in, and this is why the takeover needs to happen as soon as possible. Alan Hardy's already suffered personally so far due to this whole situation. He's actually had administrators selling off parts of his own interior design company, Paragon, so that sort of backs up the point that he is eager to get out before even more damage is done to him and his businesses. There have been several parties interested in purchasing the club. Some have actually been weeded out as being a little bit dodgy. One is a consortium run by a lawyer called Colin Dodd. He has actually got an advisor as part of this consortium called Alex May, who's now actually been discovered to being part of a group who targeted elderly homeowners in Manchester, basically just taking loads of money for them, claiming their houses and remortgaging them, and doing all sorts of terrible things worth a total of £3.5 million. He was actually jailed for 6 years as part of this in 2014. So this has now actually been found out, and this is the sort of person that potentially could be going into Notts County if this hadn't have been found. So it is worrying seeing these types of people looking at Notts County and generally looking at football clubs overall, people going under different names, as this guy did, to try and get in at a football club. You don't know what their intentions are in this scenario, but you know, it is worrying, not only for Notts County fans, but for football fans in general, that this football club could slip even further down. But despite all this, according to Odds Checker, Notts County are actually the favourites to win the National League by a number of different betting companies, at around about odds of 8 to 1 in some instances, which is crazy considering everything that's going on. I still find it crazy that they can be considered as a title challenger, but they have on paper got quite a few good players. Neil Ardley is a proven manager in the Football League as well. So who knows what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen to Notts County? Do you think that they will be taken over before it is too late? And how do you think they'll do this season in the league? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button and click subscribe as well to stay up to date with loads of different videos over the summer. Now we're heading into the new season. And yeah, I hope you've seen this video, and thanks for watching.